Well, what happens is the traffic that is coming from the client will always traverse the bridge interface, and it will always be considered transparent.
Okay.
So the only time that you see traffic that would have a different TTL would be as if it's traffic that you injected onto the network yourself.
Okay. So that's interesting. I know. So I've done some similar things in FreeBSD, and it's a little bit differently because if you do as soon as you assign an IP to the bridge, it actually will start. You'll see a TTL difference. But one thing that I do like about FreeBSD that might help out in certain things is I'm not sure if something's available for Linux that does this, but like with PF and DummyNet, you can simulate and spoof latency and TTLs, and so you could actually watch for the TTLs of the client sitting behind and then spoof all of those TTLs.
Well, and there's a fairly easy Linux kernel tunable in the proc sysnet IPv4 or IP default TTL, I think is, that you could just do. You do the same sort of thing so that you could match up the TTLs, just see what TTLs are on the client. But for the assessments that we do, I'm not trying to be perfect because if they can catch, I mean,
the only time I've seen environments where people are looking for that is where they're looking for like rogue access points plugged into somebody's. Well,
and it's the same sort of thing. I mean, if you're in an environment where you're actively hunting for rogue devices, and we were able to implant a rogue device and you caught it, okay, that's good for you. The next step for us would be to, match up the TTLs and see if you could find it now. So it'd be kind of a multi-stage kind of thing. But most of the places I've been to, even if they were hunting for, rogue APs, they wouldn't necessarily be looking for it on the wire. They're hunting it down over the air. So they spend a lot of time and effort triangulating and trying to figure out wireless signals and things like that, and not necessarily, watching all the traffic flying across the wire.
Yeah.
But it's a good point.
Okay, and then one last thing. In your previous question about talking about interacting with the client behind the point, have you considered using any scripting to, because you're sitting right there, so you can obviously analyze all the traffic between the client and the network, so using tspeedup to like maybe gather some metrics on what IPs, other like neighboring hosts on the network that guy is allowed to talk to, and then spoof those?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways of spending some time to do, like you said, you track conversations for an hour and you see who he's talked to the most, who he's talked to the least, and you probably would want to try to pick the guy that he talked to the least so that you don't stomp on anything. But, it's for what we're doing, for interacting with the network and whatnot, I figured that not being able to talk to the guy to my right is okay if I can talk to everybody else and make it look like he did it. So that was kind of the approach I took because, it just, if you're on a workstation network, in all likelihood, most of the workstations are going to be configured fairly similarly, so you can get a similar effect communicating and mapping them out than, the guy behind you.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth looking at.
All right, thanks.
What's that, man?
I have a question in regards of a typical configuration.
Okay.
When you have a IP phone connected to the switch and then the workstation is connected to the IP phone, is this attack going to be possible if you implement the devices between the IP phone and the switch, which would be the typical point where we can insert this device, since there is a CDP and there is pretty much the port becomes like a trunk port and there are further complications?
In all honesty, I don't know because I haven't tested it in a configuration like that. My guess is in the purely transparent form it would probably work because it's just to the network it would look like a piece of wire. But as far as being able to interact with the traffic, obviously, if it's might not be able to. So I honestly couldn't tell you.
Is this bridge going to support CDP? Probably that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. In all honesty, I haven't tried, setting up CDP, setting a bridge up, and seeing if the other guy saw it. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't support it, but I haven't tested it specifically.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I haven't tested it, so I can't say for certain, but, I was thinking it was just straight layer 2, so it ought to just, ought to work. Anybody else? Anybody know any good jokes? All right, well, thanks for surviving my presentation. I'm glad I survived. Wish I had a little better luck with the demos, but unfortunately I didn't sacrifice enough. So thanks for coming out. I guess we'll head over to the question room. Which room? Yeah, we'll be in Q&A room number 4 after I get all this crap torn down. Thanks.